What?
It was not too hard. It
Yeah.
wasn't too difficult. Like, as long as we studied or assigned to read, it didn't end
I
up
can send you the
being too
link.
hard.
I need just all you
One
need
of you.
the link is
Husna, can you, Abdurrahman, can you go on mute?
1 second, Uncle. Then I'm talking to him.
Okay, Husna, go ahead. Husna, go ahead.
Okay, so about the test, the quiz, it wasn't too hard as long as we studied what we were supposed to study. Like the homework assignment we got that we had to read, like as long as we read it, it wasn't too difficult.
Okay, good. So, are you giving me a grade? How are you grading me? You don't want to grade me. Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, what's now?
Hey, you wanted me to go off mute?
Yeah, tell me, do you have any comment about the test, the quiz?
I think it was pretty straightforward, to be honest. I mean, I had to admit I did Google one answer, but otherwise it's fine.
Yeah, some of you did it the smart way, and I really like that. Some of you actually copied and pasted it in the JS Fiddle, and they got the answer right away. So I didn't prevent that, but you know that's another way to get it done. Or the W3 schools editor, you could have done that too. So, but I don't like W3 schools that much. Its interface is not very cool. All right. So, anyone else with comments, or can I just continue with the course? Okay, I will continue.
I have a question. So,
And I'll go to the window. Walaikum Assalam. Go ahead, sister.
So I heard you mention about W3 schools. So in reference to the answers, were you looking for just the letter and the number, or you wanted the actual entire word of what?
No. I'm just looking for, just like you turned in, just A1, A2, A3, or something like that. So that was fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, but this quiz was mostly for you to assess yourself. You guys know where you stand. I'm not going to be going and grading. This is about the interest. You guys, you have to be interested in this course. There's nothing to prove to anyone else, right? You are here on Saturday morning because you want to stuff, not because you want to tell someone else that okay, it's a learning opportunity. And so, anyone else? Any question? Okay. So I'm going to go into the presentation mode, and I am going to go to JS Fiddle. And I'm going to suggest that you guys do the same thing. So take a minute and bring up your own JS Fiddle account. So let's see. Okay, so that maybe you want to follow through what I'm teaching now. So last time I talked about the classes and CSS classes. So you know that a CSS class is used to apply certain style to an element or a nested set of elements. So, for example, if we apply a style for a background to be black, for a div or a division of a page, then anything that is all the elements that are nested inside the div, could be unlimited number of elements. They will all get that same style unless you override it and make it very specific. What I mean is, let's say if I have a div I'm typing it. I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Div style, no, let's say style. Come on, I cannot type equals to color blue, or let's say white. So I'm going to make the text color white, and I'll give it. And by the way, you can also combine it with other styles as long as you separate them with a semicolon, background color, black. Okay, so now anything in that div, let's say a paragraph or even just this, hello, if I run it, it should have give me a white background and text. You see?
Like
Yeah. So hello, go
the
ahead.
font is really small, and I'm trying to follow along with you, but I can't really see it.
That's my hang on. Let me just see this, how I can make it. How about now?
Bro, sorry to cut you off. I started live streaming recently on YouTube and Facebook. Stuff on it, everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys see it now? I increase the size of the
Yes,
font
I can see it much better
on
now.
the screen. Okay. So now you see that when I applied the style to the div, the white color for the font and background color, it it shows up. Now the order is not very important, so I can change the style, the color, and put it after background, and it should be the same. It should not have any effect, right? When I say run. So this type of styling is called inline styling. It's called inline styling. The other way is that I put a style tag, let's say style, and if I put here a style div, and then I say background color yellow. Now let's see, what would you guys guess? What would be the background color of the div? Because now this style is going to be applied. Would you say the background would be white or would it be yellow? Let's see. Why? Because the inline style has, what I want to do is I will delete the background color from the inline style. So now the div inline style is only color white. And let's run it. You see that became yellow, right? Now I'm going to go to the CSS side of this page, and what I'm trying to teach you here is what's called precedence. So I'm going to create a style, a div style, and let's say I will say background color. So the property is it's still the same. Background color is, let's say, blue. Now, so I have specified the background color for the div element, for the div tag, in 3 different places. There's one in style, which is it's in the same line where the div then at the bottom of the page, I have another background style, which is in yellow for background color. And in the CSS, I have it blue. So now, if I run again, let's see what happens. It happens that the style in the page overrides. Now, if I went in and put the background color back again, background color, what was it, black? And I have to make sure that I type it right. Let's see. Okay, I must have background typo here. That's what always my problem is. Now, you see, there are 3 different styles three different background colors for the div that I have for this page. One is in the page itself, the inline, and a CSS section. And you notice that the one that is an inline gets the most important. So it overrides anything else. If I take it out, like I've said before, I'm going to take out the background color style from inline part of this markup. It's going to turn into yellow. Now, if I take it out from the, by the way, if I comment it out, let's see, and I'll teach you guys what commenting is. Instead of deleting it, I will just say, don't read it. Then the only thing that is working right now, let me just delete it. It's simple for you guys. So the only place that the background style is specified is in the CSS part. Now it becomes a blue. This is a very typical problem that new web developers run into, okay? And it's because they don't understand, or someone has not taught them how the precedence works. In precedence means what has the most important, okay? How the precedence works in styles and other things too. We are still not into programming. We are just in the markup part, okay? Is that clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so so if I wanted to override anything, I would have to go to the style part, and that's very rare. Now, here's another way that I can override it. Let's say there's a span tag, and a span tag, I could say style equals to color red. Okay, and then I will, so this word hello, I have surrounded it with a HTML tag called span. Okay, so what did I do wrong? Okay, yeah, this one is extra. Okay, it needs to go in between. Okay, so there is a span element, and its content is hello. Let's see what happens now. So now that word hello is in red, but everything else, let's see. Let's say if I put hi, so hi is going to be in white. In white, the span is not applying to the text hello. You guys see that? You guys notice that? Is that clear? And there is no memorization here. So as inshallah, I'm teaching you guys that there are many ways to do things. Sometimes for emphasis, you want to stand out certain part of your text or your content, and you want to give it a different attribute. Now, let's say I define a class, and I say, and the way in CSS you do this is just say class name. So I'll say my, no, let's call it underlined okay, bold header. Okay, bold header. Okay. And you guys have seen so far how to specify styles for the HTML tags. Now I am specifying a class itself, and the name of the class is bold header, and the way you specify it is starts with a period. And I'm going to say I would say no. Let's say not bold header. Let's say font weight. Font weight. I don't know, maybe bold works or not. Let's see. I don't memorize these things. So I specified a class, Now I can go here and specify a class also. So the this is the wrong place. I'm going to add an attribute called class. Bold header. Now, when you're using the class, when you're applying the class, you don't have to put the period. So what I'm expecting is that everything in this div is gonna be bold. Okay, notice that everything turned bold. So I did use the right attribute for CSS. So let's see what else I want to do. I want to do background color. No, not. I've been misusing the big color. Font style is another one. Font style. Uh, let's say under. I think it's italics or underlined. Let's do italics. Okay. So okay. So this style bold. This class bold header has two style elements, font weight and font style. And don't worry about memorizing this. Over a period of time, you look it up and you'll know what the right syntax is. So the classes are there. Now, let's say I say, no, I don't want to keep the font style and the weight in the same class. I'm going to separate them. So I can create another class, italicized header.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Right now.
May I ask, and maybe I may be missing something, but why are we, and I know the CSS side, I know that is to enhance or to make it appear kind of in a different way. However, so why are we on the CS side versus the HTML side to italicize the header?
Okay. So I spoke about it last time or time before that. I like the way to separate things in a CSS file or an external style sheet because I can reuse that in different pages. Remember in the last lecture, there was a file that you all had created, mystyles.css, and we linked it. This way, one style sheet could be used across many different HTML pages. And it will become more clear to you when we go into Ruby on Rails. Because in Ruby on Rails, where we can put all the styles on the same page, if we want to have things applied to another HTML page, you would have to redo it, right? We'd have to start everything. This way, you specify your common styles in one area, save it in a file, and then link that file in your pages in the head section. And that was one of the questions, right, in today's quiz. So it's a very important thing that you ask. Now, if something in your web application, some style is only going to be used one place and only one place across all the multiple pages that you guys will develop, then yes, put it in the inline or put it in the same page, like using the style tag at the end of the page, as you notice in the HTML part. But our motivation should be that we should be able to reuse as much as possible because we want to have a consistency in the look and feel of the pages. Inshallah, when you guys start writing Ruby on Rails application, your application will have many HTML markup pages. And you want to make sure that your pages have the consistent look and feel across all those pages, right? That's where you want to separate the CSS into a file, make changes there, and you make a change there, and all the pages that are linking to it or referring to it will be updated without you worrying about, okay, where else have I used this style? should I go and fix it there? You won't need to do that. It will make you more efficient, and you will separate the page from the style, the markup from the style. So this will keep getting clearer and clearer as you start developing the. Okay, but I wanted to make sure that I expose to you guys. Go ahead. Does that make sense, sister? Before you ask the question, does that make sense?
Yes.
Did I answer your question? Okay. Okay. What's the next question?
Okay, I have a question. So this is okay. So
Okay.
for the CSS part, what is the difference between using like font style and font weight in the same bold header? Like, what's the difference between using them in the same one or in separate ones in the CSS part?
This is just an illustration. Now, if we have it in the same specification, like in the class, then everywhere we use this class, they will be both applied, right? But right, it will be applied. But what I've done is here I have separated the italicized part into another class. You probably see that, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Header. So now if I ran, okay, now if I ran this page, only one would be italicized and one would be bold. You see that? Now if I went in the span tag, if I add the another class, let's say class equals, it's really very flexible. Class equals to italicized header. Oops. I only need to copy the name. Okay, class equals to italicized header. Let's see if I did it right. So now the hi is bold and hello is italicized. You see that?
Yeah, I understand now. Thank you.
So it all depends on what you need to do. It's extremely flexible. And it really gives you a it looks like. And we're just in the beginning of this whole thing. So, give yourself a pat on the back that you're catching up on things that sometimes students take, quite a few lectures to understand. I am teaching you guys the gotchas that I fell into and I had to struggle. So now, alhamdulillah, you guys don't have to struggle. Like this, the precedence of how you apply the style. A lot of books out there. I mean, you can go on to the web and find tons and tons of courses that will teach you how to apply CSS style, but they do not teach you the things that you fall into. And sometimes it used to take me hours to be able to find out why something is not working. And then I realized, oh, by trial and error, oh, there is a precedence. And then there's a span. So that's why I do not want you guys to be a smarter developer, and you'll be able to find the problem. Say, okay, if this is not changing, is the precedence applying? Can I go to JS Fiddle and check it out? Stuff like that. Okay. Any other question? This is a very important concept. Because obviously I'm not going to sit here and teach you guys everything that you do in CSS or every tag in HTML, because there's no point to it. Some question?
So, since there are precedences and things can get confusing, is there any point in writing things in the HTML side to start with? Why not just stick to CSS and don't write any style things on the HTML side?
So to answer your question, as a matter of a good programming or web development expertise, the practice is that you always start with a style sheet, okay, and you go into the HTML inline or within the page only if you need to for that page alone, okay. So if you look on the HTML side, the div has been defined within style tags at the bottom of the page and also inline, right? Both of those definitions will only affect that particular page, right? So those are exceptions. but all the style of your page, the look and feel of the page, they should be specified in a separate file, like mystyle.css. So then you can give it any name and then link it, right? Because that's the best practice. You start with the generic stuff, and then next lecture, I'm going to show you guys how to start doing the mock-ups and things like that for your web page with your, paper and pencil. And then you'll have an idea of what kind of styles you need to develop. Those styles, you will add them into a file. And then as you develop different pages, you'll just link that style sheet into your pages, as I mentioned last time, in the head tag. And don't worry about it, what I'm saying is not making sense, but this is what I do. I always take a paper and pencil, start designing my pages, and then all the common styles, I put it in a CSS file. Anything specific for a particular page, let's say that my web application has 10 pages, but there is one page that has some, that needs a different look and feel. Page itself, or if it's just one element, I put an element. But my preference always has been to, even at that level, keep it in a separate file. It just makes things much easier to debug and to look at. But that's a personal preference of mine. And in the industry, you will also see professional developers, full stack developers will have a lot of style sheets. And when you, inshallah, go start working for some company, these companies actually have special page layout designers. And these designers will give you CSS style sheet that has been approved by the management. And you, as a developer, is told, do not apply any more CSS. Just apply everything from the CSS file that we are giving you. So a lot of corporations make that mandatory because they want pages to be consistent. Hello? Any question? Did I lose everyone? What happened here?
No, we're all quiet. On.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. So all right. Now I can also do one other thing. I can combine the classes, right? So let's say there is a. Let me create a class or an element. Call it paragraph. Okay. And let's say a paragraph. Okay. Now, in this element, in the opening tag, I'm going to specify both classes. So I'll say class equals to, and then double quote, both classes. Bold header, and then a space, and italicized header. Okay. So now this content, a paragraph, will have the attributes form the same. So it's italicized and bold. You see that? I can combine the tests. Right now, and again, don't worry about memorizing it. But all I'm showing you is that you can, for a element, you can have many number of classes that you have defined, custom styles for yourself. You can keep them together, and the order does not make any difference. So I can cut the bold header class and specify it after a space on it, and it will still be the same. Both of them will be applied. Okay, clear? Now, just like in style, remember how in style we can put like a semicolon, color red, and I'm running out of options, but anyway, you get the idea. Or is it confusing for you guys? Hello? Anyone?
No, I understand. It's not too confusing.
Okay.
I'm able to follow.
Okay. Okay.
Just a quick
Now,
question.
yes, go ahead.
Regarding, so when we did the style color white, we put a semicolon before going to a different style. For the italicized header, the bold header, we don't need to put the semicolon between them. Is that correct?
Yes, in the class you don't need to. When you're using the classes, are you saying like this, italicized header and then semicolon here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to. You don't need to. You guys have to keep one thing in mind, that when HTML was put together in 1996, 1997, before it became public, they did not have any expectation that it would be used to this extent. So a lot of the history, there are some issues with the HTML specification. And so there's an HTML5 specification which took care of a lot of the issues. But some of them are continuing because they don't want the older pages to break down. So they want everything to be backward compatible, right? But you're right. You would expect that you put semicolon and it would work. Let's try and do that. I've never tried that. I'm going to put semicolon there after italicized header, and look what happened. The one of the italicized header part did not get applied. You see that? But when I remove the semicolon and run again, it gets applied. So there are these kind of things that unfortunately they're not in my control. So now, one other important thing that I want to introduce is the concept of ID.
Brother, before you
so let's say
before you move on, can you combine the classes like on one line in the CSS part of the page?
On the CSS,
you know how you combine them in
have. Okay, so I can say class, let's say first class, right? I'm just using this as a name. And second class, and then specify, let's say, font color equal to purple. I'm running out of color, guys. Okay. So in the specification part, I have specified two classes separated by the comma, right? And specified a attribute color. Let's see, try to use it, okay? Let's here in the latest paragraph. Let me open it here a little bit. First class, right? Was it first class? Okay. Is that what you're saying? Hello? Did I understand your question?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So you're saying that can I specify multiple classes? Can I have multiple classes to have a similar specification? It depends on the browser. As you notice here, it did not apply. Take it off here, okay, and then apply the. Where did I put it? Italicized header. Oh, I put it in the wrong place. Sorry. Okay. Oh, So it did turn. Did you see that the paragraph turned purple? So now I'm going to combine a second class. Okay, I'm going to add a second class. Second class. Okay. So I will create another paragraph. Let me just copy this here. And for this one, I'm just going to apply only one second class. Right? Let's see if the second class. Yeah. So it also became purple. So you can combine multiple classes with the specification. And I think if I can say font style underline, I think that's a word. Maybe it will work. Is it underline or is it emphasis? Right through. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is try to. I don't memorize these things, guys. No. So obviously, I'm not using the right keywords. But if you guys look up, you can say font style. And I want to really do the underline. For some reason, I'm not using the right word. But you can always go to the CSS reference either in Mozilla Developer Network, and you'll find out what the specifications are. And there are tons and hundreds of sites that you can find out the correct words. But you can combine the attributes and specify attributes for multiple places, and there's no end to it. And you could actually be very, very specific, especially let's say that you are showing data in a tabular format, and you want every other line of a table, the background to be different. So one is white background, the other one is gray. So when a person is looking at the table, you know, it's easier for their eyes. They'll see white, gray background. Using that technique. So you can actually specify styling for only the even number of rows or only the odd number of rows. It's really a lot of control. That's why a lot of people out there, they have the knack and they become CSS designers. There was one company that I used to work for in Santa Clara. One of the highest paid person was a web designer, UI designer, Steve. He used to make a lot of money because he was very good with CSS and styles. Okay, so and he did not know any programming. He had nothing to do with web programming, JavaScript, Ruby on Rails, whatever. So you can get these things could get extremely complex and beautiful. All right. I
have a question.
Any other question? Because
can you link more than
I'm gonna take a break, and when we come back, go ahead.
Okay, so can you link more than one HTML file to one CSS file if you want the format to be the same?
No. So there will be overriding. You can. The question is, can you link multiple CSS files, right, to an HTML?
No, the other end. The other end.
What do you mean, other end?
As in, if for example I have 4 resumes, and they're all HTML files, and I want them all to have the same layout. So can I just have one CSS file and just link them all to it?
Yeah, so you can refer to it in each HTML file separately, yeah. And so let's say that in your resumes, you have 4 resumes, and you want to use a different address, right? In every resume, one, you want to pretend that you are in San Francisco, in Sacramento, but you want to use the same style, but those are 2 different resumes, or one for programming, or one for let's say management jobs. You can develop your style in one sheet, and in each one of those HTML files, you can link that style sheet. So you can reuse them. That's the whole idea, is to reuse them, the style sheet. Did I answer your question, Mohammed?
Yes, Abdulrahman.
Okay, Mohammed. Okay. Yeah, reuse is one of the main reasons. And if you made a change to the CSS file once, it will be applied to everyone, all the other places, right? Because everything is referring to the same style sheet. As you will see in Ruby on Rails has a very interesting way of taking to one gigantic CSS file, and then ships it to the browser of the user. So there, and it makes it very efficient and all that. Inshallah, you guys will all see that. And okay. Any other questions? Because I want to take questions now, and when you guys come back at 11, I want to talk about the CSS part of using IDs. We have 3 minutes. Any other questions?
I looked up the underlying thing and said use text decoration and not font style.
Okay. So if I did this text decoration, yes, I remember now. I don't memorize it, and I'm not afraid of making mistakes. So line, right? Underline. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So we have. There's so much to memorize. I mean, there's so much to know. I just don't pay attention to it. As long as I'm able to get to something, I don't get embarrassed. Okay, guys. If you guys don't have any question, go take a 10-minute break and come back at 11. Okay, how do I do this? Assalamualaikum. Okay, 11 o'clock sharp. So, any questions before I get into the ID? And letting you know another way to specify things on the page, an ID. Any questions?
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
so during break, you changed up some of the stuff,
Yeah.
and I was following along. I was following along, and I edited all the stuff along with it. Was I supposed to do that, or should I leave it the way it was before?
No, whether you did or not, that's no problem. I just wanted to prepare the screen for teaching you guys the ID, because it's right now it's very cluttered, and I want to actually remove some more stuff. So,
Okay.
so it's for you guys easier for you to see.
So are we supposed to remove the stuff too?
No, don't worry about it. I'll give you assignment. Just pay attention to what I am talking about right now. So I'm actually going to continue to move the classes. I'm not going to remove it from the CSS part of it. All right. So,
Yeah.
so I put up most of the stuff here. Yeah, I'm not using any of the IDs. Sorry, any of the styles. One thing should be very clear to you guys. I can specify all the style sheets, all the styles in a style sheet. If I don't apply the classes, then it won't make any difference to the page. Correct? As you can see, when I run it, I'm going to have a pretty simple page. So now, since the div is there and there is a style there, that is being applied. But if I got rid of the div style, even that will go away, correct? Because that is being applied. All the classes, the only thing that I've removed is the classes. So any style specification with div, for example, if I add a style here for paragraph and I say the text color is white, any text surrounded by the p tag will be white. So there are two of them. There are two paragraph tags. The first one and the second paragraph. You see that? So there I don't have to specify class, right? Because I am changing the style of the tag itself. Clear? But if I want to be even more specific, here's something I can say. The first paragraph ID equals to, and just giving it a name, first para. Okay. And I'll say paragraph with ID first para. Oh man, I cannot type today. Color is red. Let's see. So now this is a very unique concept and very important concept, actually, I should say, that's a better word, of IDs. There are elements on the page that you can specify using an ID, but think about the word ID or identification. Two people cannot have the same ID, right? Similarly, two elements on the page are now to have the same ID on the same page. On different pages, yes, you could use the same ID, and people do that. It's not wrong, but it's confusing to debug. So it's bad programming and bad markup practice to use the ID twice. So if I went and let's say apply the ID to the second para also. So now I have two paragraph tags, two paragraph elements, and both of them have the ID first paragraph, and let's see what happens. Right? Now, here it is not making a difference, but what if you were doing some interactivity in JavaScript? There it will become a major problem. So as best practice, you need to use ID one per HTML page. Do not use the ID, same ID twice. And I could also, let's say, have div with ID equals to first para. Are you guys following me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, now if I do, you notice that I didn't get the color red, but what if I surround this in a p tag and makes a difference? So it's supposed to be, whenever I apply the first para ID, its color is supposed to be red, right? As you see, the first paragraph, the first time I specified it, the paragraph's color is in red color, correct? Can you guys see that? You see that on the page? Now, actually, I should call it third paragraph. The third paragraph should also have a red color because I am applying the same ID. But you see that it's confusing now. The browser doesn't know why it should apply the same style attributes to the second application of ID. If I move this ID from the first paragraph element and then run it, then it lost both of them. So to be on the safe side, only apply the ID once on the page. Okay, and this is another one of those gotchas that they don't talk about in a lot of books and courses. ID is only to be used once on the page. Classes you can use many times, right? Like we did before, right? We could use italicized text anywhere. I could use it here. Class equals to italicized text, and I could use that in a paragraph here. Did I do something wrong? What did I do wrong, guys? Okay, I didn't click it hard enough. I got scared. So now wherever I'm specifying the class, italicized text, the text is becoming italicized. Can someone tell me why in the first div when I specified class equals to italicized text, everything else in that div became italicized? I only specified a div, but hi there is italicized. The paragraph, a paragraph is italicized. Italicized.
So
Why are they all italicized?
I'm not sure how to word it, but because it you emphasize that at the first div, and because on line 15 where it closes the div, well, no, never mind. No, but my theory isn't. It would. Never mind.
So I think
You're going in the right direction, but you took a detour. Go ahead.
I think the reason is because it's in the CSS part too? Italicized text is also in the C.
Defined, right? So italicized text has only been defined once, and that's on the CSS part of the page, correct?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to take?
Yes, I think I have it now. So on line number 1, where it says div class, because that's at the very top, everything after that until it closes that's the command that you're giving it for everything to be italicized.
Okay, good. Can I rephrase it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I talked about nested tags, nested elements. So if you look at the div with the indentation, you will notice that div element, which has the class italicized text, it contains two other elements, the first paragraph and the second paragraph, and those are both p tags. So applies deep from top to bottom. So anything in that italicized text div is going to have that attribute. Okay, you see that? So div is the outermost tag, correct? And there is actually a small triangle that I clicked on. So that is the outermost tag. Now you're seeing it. That is the outermost tag, and inside it there are two, the three lines actually. There's a hide there, and then there is one tag, and then there is a paragraph tag, and there is a second paragraph tag. Correct? After I shrunk it, you see that on the top, on the outermost container, let's use the word container. This container has three elements inside it. This div container has three elements inside it. There is a simple line that says hi there. Then there's a paragraph tag with an ID first para. Then there's another paragraph that says second paragraph. So everything is applied. Now I can override it. Let's say I can override the second paragraph and I apply something else. Let's say italicized. It will have to be overridden through JavaScript, but right now it's going to apply to everything that is inside the container. Are you correct? Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's very important for us when we are looking at our page and things are not looking right. Another thing to tell ourselves is that, okay, is there a hierarchy of style that is forcing my page to look one way? And then you can go around and, correct it. I can also use the ID to do things, but like I said, IDs are only used once on a page, and most of the time IDs are used for only once on a page. So you may have tons and tons of elements on the page, but you use a ID once. I mean the name of that ID, what I mean by that. You could have another ID, let's say second para, doesn't matter. And you could say right here. Now it's a generic ID. ID, what I call it, second ID. Okay, and I gave it a, let's say a style, color, yellow. I really need to become creative with this color business. So I will create I will add this ID to a paragraph, to the last paragraph. No, let's do it for a second. ID equals to second ID. So I'm expecting that these words, second paragraph, would be in yellow. Let's see. Yeah, they are. The ID works similarly, but this is just a basic use of it. And as a best practice, now that I have used this ID once on this page, on this particular page, I should not use it anywhere else. Does that make sense? And you'll see as you learn JavaScript, there's a lot of stuff that we can do with IDs that make our web application, web page very, very fun to write. So most of the time we'll be using classes. IDs are usually used for interactivity, and so do other programmers. And you guys, inshallah, will do the same thing. So if that is a little bit clear for you guys, unless you guys have a question, I want to go and talk about a concept in web document object model. Okay. But before I do that, I need to make sure that you guys have seen, at least starting to see the difference between classes and IDs. And I don't expect you to understand it fully and how you will use it and why you will use it. That all will come. But as an intro to classes and IDs, are you guys okay? Is it clear to you guys?
Yes.
Anyone else? Is there any confusion? Do I need to use a couple more examples? Hello? I guess not.
Just to double check, so when we use the IDs, for example, when they specify them just to paragraphs, we have to put P hashtag then, or we don't need to do that, or is it when we need to specify for one paragraph?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And you know, the syntax is different. The IDs start with the hashtag, and the classes you start with a dot.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So when we are using them on the HTML side, you don't use the hash or the dot. You just use the name itself.
Yeah.
And also, one other thing, they are working on, and it's a non-standard feature, but they're also working on combining different IDs. It's a little bit, it requires a little bit JavaScript understanding, and it's not a standard. You see how we can combine the classes when we are using them and separate. I think soon, in a year or so, you'll be able to combine IDs. So one element may have multiple IDs. I don't know why anyone would want to have two IDs for a same element, but apparently there is some need for it. Anyway, but right now you cannot combine multiple IDs. It's not a good practice, and you will get a strange result on the page.
Okay. Thank you.
One of the things that you have to know that HTML and CSS, they're not programming languages. So if you do something wrong, or if you use some part of it in a wrong way, you usually do not see an error unless an image is missing. Sometimes you may have seen that a particular icon is broken or some stuff like that. HTML really does not give you a whole lot of understanding of why a particular piece is not working. So you have to be very careful when you're doing HTML and CSS because they're not programming languages. HTML is a markup language. That's what the hypertext markup language. And markup means that, you know, there's no error, there's no feedback if you did something wrong. So new developers, they end up spending a lot of time if they're not aware of the gotchas. You got to write down the gotchas somewhere on a sheet next to you when you are, you know, developing pages, because they will come back and bug you, and you know you'll not see the errors. Anyway, enough about that. So every web page that you're looking at in your browser, all the elements are part of what they call a document. So there's a word document. So I'm going to go to, let's say, masjidannoor.com. By the way, can you guys see this page now?
Yeah, we can see the Brave search page.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to Masjid An-Noor splash page. Here's one other thing that you as a developer will be using very frequently. It's called the developer console. So watch in the bottom. I'm going to press Control Command I, and it should show me the a window on the right hand side, and I'm going to actually locate it into the bottom.
When you say, would you say Control Command I, is that for the Apple computer? What would we press on the Microsoft?
Yeah, for this for the Apple. So I think if you look at, I think it should be Command and Option I or Control I for the Windows part. And by the way, I have to buy a Windows computer now to be able to teach you guys. There's no two ways. So unfortunately, I'm not sure what the command would be. Developer console for Windows computer.
You can right click and find it.
Yeah, you can do a right click too. Okay, I am so used to the control commands. So if you do a right click, you should go into Abdul Rahman. Can someone tell everyone else how to get to the developer console on the Windows computer?
Inspect.
Inspect. Okay.
I'm sorry, I could.
Yeah, and actually,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear him. It was right click and then
inspect.
Oh, okay,
INSPECT. I have it here too. It's on the Mac as well, I guess. You see that? So this particular part of the window which shows up, it has many tabs on the top. It says Elements, Console, Sources, Network, Performance, Memory, Application. This is a great tool for developers to debug your page. Interestingly, you'll see on this page the HTML, right? Net view source. If I did a right click and look at the view page source, it will open up another tab and it will show a whole lot of other stuff. But this is just showing you what the source is. We don't want to do that because it really doesn't help the developer that much. Sometimes it does. So there is a tab right next to the element. It says console. Does everyone see it? If you click on console, there is a JS Fiddle type of window that shows up, and in the bottom, and it's pretty small, so let me make the size bigger. Okay, you guys see it? Maybe a little bit bigger.
yes.
Yeah, we see it.
And my cursor is blinking. I'm going to type something called window. So window is basically what is the document object model, and if I click down, it will show me a whole lot of stuff out there that was generated for this particular page. And this is a JavaScript console. Okay, so I could go and let's say you see the button that says donate on the upper hand side, right, of the screen. It says donate. I could basically go and find out what is the element that is displaying that donate button and change the background color to red. So if I go, I click, I right over the donate button and then click on inspect, and it should show me that there is an anchor tag with href attribute, style attribute. Aha. So instead of text align to be center, I'm going to double click and change this to, and don't tell anyone at Masjid An-Noor that we are doing this. So text align, right. Let's see what happens. If I have done it right, if I click enter, this donate word should shift to the right. Do you see it shifted to the right?
Yeah, it does.
Have you guys have? It does, right? So we are messing up with Anu's page.
Yes.
Yes and no.
Yes.
Right? And I can go in and say I can add another say color instead of red. I could say, well, my favorite color is purple, so I say purple. Now it's on the right and purple, and it's amazing stuff, right? But the good thing is the safety here is all the changes that we are making here is only making changes in our browser. We're not changing anything on the page that is being served from, let's say, GoDaddy and all that. So we are only making changes to our browser. Anyone else, if you are also on Masjid An-Noor page right now, you're not seeing what I did, right? If you're on Masjid An-Noor page, you're not seeing purple color donate or it's on the right aligned or left aligned, or now let's see if I can make it bold even. Font weight. Okay, it became bold. So the point I'm trying to make here is that I am making changes to the document that is currently being showed in my browser. None of you are seeing in your own browsers what I am showing you, correct? Because I'm making the changes right here in the console. Is it clear? So when we go to masjidannoor.com, and let's say if I refresh it, everything will be gone. And it will be back to the way it was. Why? Because a request was sent to masjidannoor.com servers, and it sent me the page where it was the way it was specified originally. All the changes that I made was in the document once it became into. So there is a term called document object model. I was making changes to my local copy of the document. And a document is a generic word. It's a simple word to refer to the page. Okay? But it's better to use the word document. For programmers, for web developers, we should use the word document. Okay? And a document has a lot of HTML in it, CSS in it, as you can see right now. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. The page that I'm looking at has got a lot of tags, and these white triangles, when I click on them, or gray triangles, it will open up and it will show you more tags, and it will keep going on and on and on and on. and you guys should be very comfortable with the term nesting. But at the high level, you see the doc type, you see HTML tag, you see an HTML tag should have body tag, the head, link, whatever, right? And a script is JavaScript file that it is linking to. So this is the document that you're looking at. And another way to look at it is just to put, let's see, I think it should, if I put document, it shows me that something with an ID document. And look, here's the whole document. Now, and the hash says that it is an ID, correct? There is a element document with ID document. I'm losing you. Are you with me?
Yeah, Brother Rashid, I have a question. Like you told us, do not use ID and like in the same page. But what I see now in the Masjid al-Nur page, there is many ID. They use it like in one page.
Same ID.
I'm
I'm talking
confident now about
name. ID name. ID name. You can use the ID attribute, but the ID name can be only used once. Even here, if you look at the page that I'm looking at right now, there is the link which has an ID WP-block library CSS, and then right after that there's another link that is also using the ID attribute. So ID attribute is can, but the ID name can only be used once per page. Okay, so attribute is the ID itself, the keyword ID equals to. It can be used many times, but the ID name cannot be used more than once. Let me do that. Let me, if you guys can see, the first ID in the link is WP block dash library dash CSS. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to the next link, and I'm going to try to break this. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to copy it over. So now there are two link tags that have the same ID, and let's see what it does to the page. It will mess things up. Well, since it's a link, maybe it did not, obviously. But that is not, not use the same ID name more than once on the page. Is that clear? Because the word ID equals ID is the attribute itself, and after on the other side of the equal signs in the double quote is the ID itself. Is the name of the ID. There are two parts to it. Let me go into the console and try to explain this. So, can you guys see this? ID equals to, it is a attribute name for the HTML tag. So in the double quotes, I could have anything ID1, or I could have another one. I equals to ID2. So on the right side of the equal sign, these two are different, right? That is okay, that is allowed. But what is not allowed on the same page, you have two different elements that have the same IDs. This is not allowed. Is that clear?
Yes, Jazakallah khair.
Right. So on the left side of the equal sign is the attribute itself, and on the other side is the attribute, the name of the ID. I know it's a little bit confusing, but inshallah you'll get hang of it. Any other question?
No.
Okay. So the reason I said that that we should get familiar with the developer console is because our trying see something, something that is not working well, especially the CSS part, we can go and debug, we can go and inquire deeper why it is not working. And the developer console is your friend. It really helps you look into the issue. And as we go into Ruby on Rails, we refer to it more frequently.
But I should have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm obviously assuming that the people who wrote this website didn't write everything from scratch. They basically used something like GoDaddy.
Right.
And basically, just correct me if I'm wrong, do they have, like, for example, certain preset codes that when you give certain commands, they change the code up according to whatever you did? That make sense?
Yeah, so that's the point. That you're right. That's the point of using frameworks like Django or Ruby on Rails or Node.js, and there are many other frameworks. Is that you don't want to be doing all this coding by yourself. It gets all generated for you. And the beautiful thing about Ruby on Rails is that you will have so much of the applications basic code already done for you. All you have to do is to create a new application, and voila, you get a lot of things already built for you, so you can focus on your business side of what features you need to put in. The reason I'm telling you I did not start with Ruby on Rails right away is because you guys you guys need to know what is the difference between HTML and what is an HTML tag, what is CSS, what is JavaScript. But now when I'm writing developing web pages and web applications for myself, most of the time I don't even go and directly change the HTML. I just do it through Ruby on Rails because it generates things for me. People who have done this before, it reuses those things. And that's the point that why you want to use Ruby on Rails and other applications like that. But this developer console is something that you cannot get rid of. It is your friend. And it has many different parts of information. It shows you if your application is not getting data fast, it will show you if there's any slowdown on the network side. If you have little memory, it will show you if you are running into memory. If there are security issues, it will show you that you're trying to get to a website that is not allowing you access and audits. So inshallah, these things will become clear to you. But the whole idea is that you don't generate all this code, right? I mean, if you go to this elements part, there's a huge bunch of things that have been specified. And especially if you go to page source, that is actually a better example. This page source that you guys are looking at, are you guys looking at the page source that I just clicked on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a white background. This has been generated by let's say PHP server. Someone did not sit down and write all down. It's been generated. It's been this is all computer generated, because none of us should expect ourselves to write all these things. So that's the point of using a web application developing network like PHP based frameworks or Ruby on Rails or Node.js, and inshallah your applications will do that same too. Not to worry. What I want to do is quickly show you. Let's say I want to quickly show you how we can have. I have Ruby on Rails installed on my application, okay, and I can go in and try to create a. Okay, So I'm in the terminal application. It's just like command. I'm hoping that you improve the tutorials and the videos that I asked you to, and I can I'll make a directory called web dev class, and I will change into this directory. And here I will create a brand new application, Rails application, Rails new my app. Okay, and when I hit enter, okay, it doesn't have Rails installed here. Let me go back.
Just to double check, are you working on the elements part or are you working on a different screen? Because I'm not seeing what you're doing.
You cannot, because I'm on the
okay.
terminal. Okay, so I'm trying to set something. For some reason, maybe I should go and show this to you guys. I'm going to stop presenting, and let's see if I can present my terminal to you guys. This should be able to, you should see my terminal now. Right? So dim installed Rails. You should be seeing a green text, a whole bunch of green text, maybe small.
Yes.
Okay, so this going to just look for everything. RVM U 2.6. Okay, so I issued a command and it's creating the whole Rails application for me. And this is all code that is being generated. None of it is something that I've written. As soon as it gets done and I get my prompt back after creating the new application, I'm going to run it and show you on the in the browser. Okay, it will take about 1 more minute. All over the web. There's a huge amount of software it's installing right now for my new application. And thank God you guys don't have to do that, and I don't have to do that. So bear with me. I wanted you guys to see the process of creating a new Ruby on Rails application. Inshallah, we will go through it next time. I'll send you instructions on how to install Rails. Next session, I think 60 to 70% of it's going to be Rails.
But Ashik, does it?
While it is installed, go ahead.
That's why you're going.
Yeah, I mean it's taking its time to install the Rails or creating a new Rails application. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me.
If you were to create an application and then you wanted to publish it on the internet, do you have obviously you have to go by URL, right? Oh, I remember, I forgot what it was called. You have to go by that,
yeah,
and then you launch it on there. Is that the right process? Or
yeah. Let's say you want to create your own resume and make it available on the web for everyone to see. And let's say you want to have a URL abdulrahman.com, right? For example. So you will go to GoDaddy and see if that abdulrahman.com URL domain name is available to purchase. You'll purchase it, and they'll tell you all the things that you need to do to bring it live, which is not too much. And within And if you know Rails, within like 5 minutes, you'll have that available on the internet. 5 to 10 minutes. So all this, by the way, this is still creating my new application, my Rails 6 application, I believe. It's the latest version.
But that's
And then
it takes a 24-hour turnaround to approve a website or something like that.
What?
So didn't you say it takes around 24 hours? It takes a 24-hour turnaround to
Sometimes with the name, especially if it's IO and something like that. But usually, if you're working with a good domain name hosting, is few minutes. I mean, they would tell you it could take up to 2 days, 3 days, but I have not seen it to be that long. I mean, they're playing it safe. So anyway, you see in the bottom it says Webpacker installed successfully. Successfully installed. I try to make it bigger, right? So this was the command, Rails new and new is telling Rails that I want to create a new application, and the name of my application is my ROR. Okay, so I'm going to go to that directory, my ROR. Control V. Change directory to my ROR, which was the name of the application, and I hit enter, and here I would say Rails server, and it's going to start the Rails server for me. And it says booting, the second line is better, Rails 6.2 application is starting in development mode. And then in the last line, it says listening on TCP : 3000, or the line above, listening on TCP 127.0.01. If you were there in my first lecture, you'd know that I talked about the address. We did an example of going to Google with the IP address and not just google.com, right? So that's what it is. So let me show you that this application is already running. Let's go to 127.2010. So I'm going to switch the windows, guys. I'm going to go and stop presenting, and so that you can see it. Present now. This is the part I do not like. Okay, present now. Windows. I think this is the one. Where is this? Where did it go? Okay, I think I'm in business. So here's a new application that you should be looking at pretty quickly. As we are on Rails. You see, yay, you are on Rails. You see this window? This is the default screen that shows if your Rails application is working. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go and make some changes to where it says, yay, you are on Rails. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. So I'm going to go to VS Code, which you guys already have installed. I'm going to go into it, and I am going to make changes to the page. Let's see.
We can only see the website. We don't see the VS Code screen.
Yeah, you're not looking at it. You will not be looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Some changes so that you use here. I'm in VS Code. I'm looking at the Ruby on Rails stuff. So give me a minute, and I will go to. You're looking at the Rails page, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, let me just quit right here because then you guys will get confused. The Rails application when we start, it always starts on a particular port. Right now, what you're looking at is a basic version of the Rails application when you started without making any changes to it. So, Abdul Rahman, to your question, this Rails application that I'm running right now, and you guys are seeing the screen, it is a web application. It's a full-fledged web application that's running in the development mode, and all the code has been written for me so that you see this page. And from now on, I can add features to it and make it look like the way I want it to. So you don't have to have this page. You can replace this page with something that you like to show, like your resume. But this is the first page that shows up when you have made no changes to your Rails application, and you just install a new Rails application, create it, and you bring it up. That's the page that you'll see. And this is a confirmation to you that you have created the application right. If you made a mistake in creating this application, there's really not much you can mess up. It's very simple. 3 words: Rails space new space your application name, and you could give it up, call it Abdul Rahman, or call it Husna, call it Aisha, whatever. And as the application, create the new application, and then once it's created, you're going to be doing this through command line. So you guys need to be very comfortable with command line. Go through this exercise this week, and then once it's done creating the new application and you have the cursor back, all you have to do is to say type the command Rails space server, hit enter, and then go to your browser to this port 3000. Another way to look at it is called localhost. So instead of saying 127.0.0.0, you can type localhost 3000. And let me make it bigger. Oh, that part of the window is not getting bigger. But localhost 3000, and you will see your application running there. Okay, so Rails already gives you out of the application. A lot of that headache has already been done for you. And let's see, you should be able to see my VS Code screen in a minute. I'm going to go back and go to up sharing, and share my VS Code. Now you should be looking at my. Are you guys looking at VS Code now? You should be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So all of this was generated by just one command. All of this code has been written for me. This is the Rails application. And if you look at the directory called asset, it has subdirectories. And when I use the term directories, you guys should know exactly what I'm talking about. Should be very familiar. Then assets has a subdirectory called config, and inside the config there is a JavaScript file. But let me show you. There's a style sheets directory. You guys see it? Let me try and see if I can make it bigger. Okay, let's make it bigger. You see me highlighting the directory called style sheets, and inside there is a CSS file that has a lot of this and the other. This one doesn't have too many files. Channels, controllers, helpers, all of this has been created for you. Okay, someone is trying to ask. Hello? Okay, I guess not. Now, public. The public directory has certain files that are 404.html. Sometimes when you go to the website and you type a URL that is not really valid, or you're trying to get to something, you get these errors. You probably remember this 404 or 422, 500. These are the files that show up on your screen if you put a URL that is not correct, or there's something wrong with the application itself. Again, all this has been developed for you, and you don't have to know, and you don't have to know from the beginning how to code these things. And over a period of time, when you become more comfortable with the Ruby on Rails application environment, you'll know where to look for the things that you want to change. Let's see. Let me see. It's too big, I think. Layouts. So this was just an introduction to Ruby on Rails. You guys have covered a lot of material, and really, after today's class and all that, you cannot afford to miss a lecture. If you miss a lecture, you'll miss a lot. It would be almost impossible for you to catch up, because Rails is huge, and I'll be covering a lot of territory. Make sure that, inshallah, when you get the assignment number 5, it will include installing Rails and doing stuff. I will be probably spending the next 10 hours or so just to writing the instructions. 8 to 10 hours, I think it will be, to give you the detailed instructions to install Rails on your computer. So make sure that you start following my assignment number 5 instructions as soon as you have the first opportunity. I expect you will have to make a decision whether you want to continue with this course. Like Asad said this morning, don't give up. It's going to get better. This is a lot of material that I'm exposing. Remember, every Saturday you are spending 3 hours with me. That's equivalent to going to class 3 times a week, right? About 50-minute lecture. So if you missed one Saturday, you miss a lot. And after today, I think anyone who's not been doing their assignment for whatever reason, because they're busy or whatever, they're not going to be able to catch up. I'll tell you with quite a bit of confidence. So, okay. Any questions before I wrap up?
Yeah, does Ruby, I mean, it's a heavy program. Do you need a strong computer for that? Like, you need strong RAM and all that, or?
Or you'll find out. Yeah, that's a good question. You'll find out next week when you start installing the Rails environment. I don't want to ask you guys to go and spend money. If your computers are slow and you are okay with making it, getting the thing installed in 5 minutes versus 5 seconds, or 10 seconds or half second, I think you do not need to go and spend the money. But if you're finding out that it's really slow, one other way that I recommend is that make sure development, you should have plenty of space on your hard disk, about 20 gigabytes of hard disk, and you should have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. And when you are doing programming, try to make sure that all your other programs on the laptop are not running. So the programming environment, basically, it has a higher requirement from your computer. So stop running other applications, free up some disk space, and you will find most computers will be okay.
And can you send the space requirements in an email?
Yes, inshallah, I will. You guys should start cleaning up your computer. If you've got a lot of pictures, audios, and things like that, move it to a thumb drive thing, because now your computers are going to have a completely new set of requirements. It's going to be pushing the limits of your computer. I suggest that you don't spend the money in buying a computer unless you really have to. Clean up your computers, take out the pictures, take out the audios. I would say at least 20 gigabytes you should have free on your computer of space, hard disk space.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a question. So the quiz that we took today, are we gonna get the results like through email? Like before?
No, you will not. No, you will not. That's you should copy and paste the questions in the JS Federal, and you grade yourself. I have no interest in grading you guys, but if everyone, I can go to the test next time. Just send me a note. But these are simple enough. If you go and copy and paste them JS Federal and run it, you'll know what is the right answer. And I kind of cheated a little bit. A lot of these questions came from the W3 school quizzes for HTML and CSS. So you can go there as well, and you will be able to find some similar questions there. Not exactly the same, but similar questions there too.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan.
Welcome. I have few smaller startup projects that I'm working on, so that's why some of you actually did use JS Federal and got the right answer, which is okay by me. I mean, the objective is to get the thing done. So if you're working smart and you're using W3 Tools, Editor, or anything else, Surrender, others, you're fine. You're just working smarter.
Assalamu alaikum.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
I have a question.
Okay. It doesn't matter to me, whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, I had a question. So, how close is this course close to a boot camp kind of course? How similar are they?
Okay, so the curriculum is based on the course I developed for Mission College in Santa Clara. It's a junior college.
Okay.
And I taught this twice. And this is the third time. Then I updated the curriculum based on what UC Berkeley is teaching out of the boot camp in UC Davis. The big difference between UC Davis course and what I am teaching, that course that is the boot camp is for 4 months. There's a big difference between that course and my course. The similarity is the curriculum. The curriculum is the same. The difference is about $11,400.
Okay.
They're charging $11,500 for that course. What I'm teaching you guys here.
Thank you.
So if you go back, I mean, I think the suggested donation is $100, and I think Abdul Rahman knows that there are quite a few people who don't have the $100. I wish that you guys will contribute to the message if you have the ability. But yeah, so the curriculum is almost the same as what UC Davis Bootcamp has. It's not exact, but almost.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Some other questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
So I understand that you're very busy with, which is why you're not wanting to correct the curriculum. However,
That's not the main reason. That's not.
For myself, just so that I have an idea of where I stand
Okay.
Is it
Okay,
possible
fair.
that you could correct that for us? Or for
Yeah, so I can send the answer. I can send the answer.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Give me, but I will send it out after. I'll send it out after I prepare the assignment number 5. And assignment number 5 will be focused on installing Rails on your computer.
Inshallah.
And like I said, you know, be very, very comfortable with the command line. The command line and JS Fiddle, be very comfortable. VS Code, yes. Be very comfortable with VS Code. Make sure that you have the extension called the, I think, play it in browser or open in browser extension. There's an extension called open in browser. Make sure that is installed. I would not have the time to teach you guys VS Code or command line in the next few lectures because it is expected that you have already spent your time. You know, this course is going to require a lot of commitment from you. And you are here because you want to learn it, right? You don't have to prove to anyone anything else. You are here because you want to learn this, correct? So, and sister, you have a question about the email link to pay. I think you should contact Abdul Rahman or Ahmed Tahan. I think Ahmed Tahan is still here or not.
Email link.
These are the, yeah, Ahmed Al Tahan. You can contact him for payment. I'm not taking the payment, so I don't even know which email link to give you, Lena. So contact Ahmed Tahan or Abdul Rahman, and they'll tell you what the process. Ahmed, or actually, can you speak for a couple minutes? How they can pay for the course? I think Abdul Rahman left.
So
Okay,
basically, I'm here. Yeah, if Ahmed doesn't want to speak. Basically, you have two options. First is you Venmo the message. I can send you the Venmo information, or you can just go to Masjid Noor. You can go to Masjid Noor website and just press donate, and then one of the options is IT course or web development course, something along those lines. So just do that, whatever you can pay. Or if you have any questions, I just send an email to the messaging thing. Just email dawa@masjidnoor.com, and I'll help you out there.
Okay. All right, everyone. Stay safe. Please keep me in your dua. If you are learning anything from this course, please make dua for me after your first salat, for me and my family, and for all the Muslims and everyone else, not just Muslims, to be safe from this wabah and protect yourself and keep me in your dua. It's very important. That's the best thing that you can give me, is to give me your prayers and dua. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. جزاك الله خير brother. جزاك الله خير. ويصلك خلاص. جزاك الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. So again, for whoever's left, you can go to YouTube page or Facebook for Mission No, and then it should be recorded there.